Guys, I feel like
Today was a good day.
to circle back on a new manga series that truly piqued everyone's interest a little over a year ago, but it was no ordinary new manga by no ordinary newcomer. This was a new entry by a now household name of the manga industry, a mangaka who created a true monument between 2014 and 2018. As you've guessed by the title and thumbnail, today we'll be talking about Sui Ishida, creator of Tokyo Ghoul, on his return to the forefront of the manga world last year with a new story called Choujin X. Now over a year on from the English release of Chapter 1 and 27 chapters later, following an irregular serialization to benefit the creativity and the health of the creator, is Sui Ishida's new creation worth investing your reading time in and soon your money in once the physical copies start coming out in English in February 2023? Or is it simply a glorified reskin Tokyo Ghoul? Well, hopefully you will have an answer by the end of this video, but for anyone completely unfamiliar with this new series, here is a quick spoiler-free synopsis. Tokyo Kurohara, a 16-year-old second year at Tsuruhai, is like many others at that age what you would call a lost boy. He has no confidence in himself, school isn't of great interest to him, and he isn't good at anything, really. In stark contrast, his best friend Azuma Higashi is a popular one, does great in school, is athletic, and can fight like few others of his age due to his judo and karate training. His father, also being a police officer, gives Azuma a strong sense of justice to actively seek to help people in need, which contributes heavily to the way Tokyo views him. Tokyo has been living in the shadow of Azuma and riding the wave since the beginning. However, people started taking note of that following Azuma's heroics and accusing Tokyo of leeching onto him for popularity, comparing him to a buzzard or vulture. Initially unfazed by it, Tokyo simply admires and idolizes Azuma as he represents everything Tokyo feels he could never be. The two friends live in Yamato Prefecture, an incredibly ordinary district containing areas destroyed by superhuman monsters called Choujin. They possess dangerous and supernatural abilities, often causing destruction and death around them when going unchecked. One day, on their way back home, Tokyo and Azuma encounter a Choujin, seeking revenge on Azuma after he protected a young woman against a group of thugs the day prior and broke the leader's arm. Back for blood and visibly changed, he threatens to kill Azuma. Cornered and overpowered, Tokyo and Azuma make a crucial decision. To survive, they must become Choujin themselves. With this new life full of unknowns ahead of him, Tokyo finds himself forced to navigate the world on his own for once, away from Azuma's shadow. He must now find himself and truly discover what he's capable of. To control this new reality and his newly acquired powers, he will have to push his boundaries to the extreme and break down all the walls and limitations within himself. Now, I know what you're already thinking if you've read Tokyo Ghoul. Isn't that just all of the same but different? Well, kind of. But there are clear differences in the approach Sui Ishida took. First, Choujin X is not as dark, gory, violent, and upsetting as Tokyo Ghoul. There is a clear departure from that. There are, of course, elements of that in Choujin X, but they are rare and far in between. Whereas in Tokyo Ghoul, it was more of a trademark of some sort, a shock value that persisted throughout the series. Choujin X feels more like a coming-of-age story, a character forced to change, adapt, and grow from his stagnant state to overcome his limits and help prevent calamities to the world. Now, this is your warning. We're getting into spoiler territory here, so if you do not want to be spoiled, please skip to the next timestamp. So, where do we stand after 27 chapters? Was it worth it? Is the story out in the open and moving somewhere good? Well, I'll definitely say so, because with recent chapters, it has taken a turn exactly at the right time to make it really intriguing again. Following the events of the Sinker arc, Tokyo still attracts a lot of attention from the evil Choujin No Mask and his ghouls, whose thing is to infect people to transform them into Choujin themselves and potentially find the chosen one. Oddly reminiscent of Muzan's quest in Demon Slayer now that I think of it. But being far from ready with his beastification and his capacity to control it, the situation is far from ideal for him. We discover a variety of different transformation and abilities from his assailants, such as Nari's snake, Ririka's paper transformation ability, and Ricardo's Terror Knight, and learn more about the scale of power in place and where Tokyo stands at the moment compared to other Choujin. He is followed, attacked and evaluated at every encounter, and now that the story has headed into a training arc of some sort, it clearly indicates big things are brewing and that our characters need to level up fast for what's to come. Statuses have also changed in recent chapters. Azuma, who was mostly absent during Tokyo's turmoil and development as a Choujin, began showing signs of jealousy towards Tokyo's situation, and his demeanor has been way off. Azuma now feels a lot less like a hero, a picture-perfect character as seen through Tokyo's Tokyo's eyes since the beginning of the story, but more like a deeply troubled and damaged character, still awaiting his awakening and truly leaving the reader feeling like he could cause an irreparable fracture in the story anytime soon. Further to this fear, it is said that once in every generation, a single Choujin is born with the power to annihilate an entire world, the Choujin X. Which begs the question, what if that was Azuma? His Choujin form so far shows him incapable of discerning friend to foe. His moral compass seems completely broken, and only violence and dominance seem to be the answer. His human nature being one of a protector, a vigilante of some sort, familiar with conflicts and knowing right from wrong, makes his Choujin form rather unsettling. His face hidden with a cloak has made him faceless, allowing him to distance himself from his acts of ruthless violence, allowing him to break free and truly explore his raw power, regardless of the consequences. Will he be a part of the fight against evil Choujins, or cause great misery to Tokyo, the Yamato Mori organization, and subsequently the world? As usual with Sui Ishida's characters, you will feel a true human side to them, a relatable side besides all the fantasy and surreal shenanigans happening. These characters have or create deep connections to each other, but also have a tremendous amount of emotional baggage being shared with the reader. I've already covered Tokyo and Azuma's personalities, but the one support character worth expanding on to me is definitely Eli Otsuta. She's such an attaching character, and her backstory is a testament to her immense amount of resolve and strength of character. She's kind, honest, and truly courageous. She was forced into a Choujin by one of the protagonists, Smoke Choujin, Chandra, and ended up with very similar abilities following the plane crash from chapter 1. She really plays a crucial role around Tokyo, and without her, we probably wouldn't have a story to tell beyond a couple chapters. The art in Choujin X is obviously reminiscent of Tokyo Ghoul, and that shouldn't be a bad thing to anyone reading this, but it definitely has this raw aspect to it that makes it feel different. It isn't as polished, and not every single panel has that picture-perfect look to it, but it has an incredible amount of soul. It is so evident that Ishida is enjoying this process. Him having complete freedom on when he releases new chapters must really be a blessing and allow for so much more thought process to go into each chapter, compared to being bound to a weekly release schedule. Some panels are fantastic, some are rough. When it matters, it is incredible. When it's mundane, it isn't necessary to go all out with the details when it's just a random school talk scene, for example, and that's fine by me. Like I mentioned before, Choujin X definitely isn't as somber and grotesque as Tokyo Ghoul, and it shows in the artwork. There isn't that constant dark, overbearing feeling to the reading experience. It's actually really light and only changes during certain specific fight scenes or encounters. Is the art better than Tokyo Ghoul? No. Does it make it worse? Not really. I found that with the roughness comes a certain singularity to the art, setting it apart from Tokyo Ghoul. To conclude, I'm really invested in Choujin X and the future of this story. I'm not yet certain I prefer it over Tokyo Ghoul, but the plot and its progression are really keeping me on my toes, and I love it. I really enjoy the characters and their personas. They feel natural and relatable given their respective circumstances, and I also feel like once the fully truly opens up with the evil Choujins and we discover the main antagonist, it will be something special, and I would honestly recommend it to anyone who reads Tokyo Ghoul, as it will feel familiar yet very different. Kinda like getting a parallel universe version of your favorite manga.